want to make g the subject. Now, since what I want to find is within a part of this term, which is g, part of mg, I'm going to get rid of this quantity here. And this quantity, mv squared over r, is adding to mg. So I'm going to look at g with what is connected to directly, which is the m, and focus on mg and to make it the subject. Then I can actually get rid of the m after. So m is really now the coefficient of g in that context. So we want to get rid of this mv squared over r. So to get rid of mv squared over r, we recognize it's connected to mg by addition. And so to get rid of it, we use what? Subtraction, correct. So we're going to subtract the fraction itself. Okay, let's see what happens there. So we're going to subtract mv squared over r from the original quantity mv squared over r. Cancel. And we do that to both sides. And so we have p minus mv squared over r, p minus this quantity, which is a fraction, equals to what? Mg. Okay. Now, it gets a little bit tricky here because we are thinking, okay, what do we do from here? Well, the idea is that we want to make what? G the subject. So we can say we're going to divide both sides by what? By m. Since m is connected to g by multiplication, and dividing by m will allow us to have by itself. Okay, so let's go right ahead and do that. Dividing by m, dividing by m. And so m cancels m and left with what? G equals p minus mv squared over r, all divided by m. All right, so the challenge here is that we are seeing that we have a numerator that perhaps can be simplified, and so we do not want it to look like this. It looks too complicated. So we can actually simplify this right hand side a little bit more. So let's see, g equals, all right, so what we can actually do, let's do it. We can actually get rid of this m that we have here by multiplying by what? Now m is m over 1, so we can multiply by its reciprocal, which is 1 over m, and so we can also multiply this side by 1 over. This allows us to cancel out the m, and so we're left with what? G equals 1 over m multiplied by p minus mv squared over r. And we can distribute this. Let's distribute. So g equals, now 1 over m times p is going to be p over m minus 1 over m times this fraction. Okay, now how I got the p over m? Well, m over 1 over m times p. 1 times p is p times 1. So you can see how we got this. Let's do this, the next part, using distributive law. Because we have subtraction in the bracket. As long as you have subtraction or addition in the bracket, you can apply distributive property. So now 1 over m multiplies what? The negative mv squared over r. Now because we're multiplying, we're able to cancel out what? Denominator with numerator. And so we're left with negative r squared over, this is actually v, negative v squared over r. So it's going to be what? It's going to be a negative. Well, let's have a negative here already. See what we're looking at here, right? So we've minus v squared over r. All right. And then, of course, we can perhaps simplify this further by find the LCM of m and r, which is s times r. So we do not know what values of those quantities are. Now, m into mr is what? Of course, if we have mr divided by m, we're going to get r. This will cancel this. The r times p is er minus, and we divide the same mr, which is LCM again, by this denominator r, left with m, and so m times v squared. Okay. And so this is our solution. Looks better than how it was presented over here. Next question.